Hello, folks. I think the notifications are out. Can I get someone in the Twitch stream to give me a affirmative that I'm coming through loud and clear?
I'm actually hearing you.
Well, that's certainly good. And it looks like we do got audio coming through clear for other folks too. So, without further ado, hello, welcome everyone. This is Moderation Office Hours. I'm Canadian Git, and I'm with Veer. Today, we're going to be hosting 30 minutes worth of questions on anything you'd like to ask us. The topics that we know most on, of course, would be moderation, the guidelines, and the mentor program. But you're welcome to ask us anything about Resonite you would like. Again, as I said, we're going to be here for about 30 minutes fielding questions from chat, so feel free to just jump into chat and drop a question there if you'd like us to go over something. We do ask politely that you include a question mark somewhere in your question. That, you know, we have a little prompt built out in the world that gives us a list of all the questions or all the messages with a question mark in them, helps us keep track. I hope everyone's been having a fantastic weekend so far. I know it's been sweltering in certain parts of the world, and a tiny apocalyptic storm hit a chunk of North America, so, you know, it's been a week. I see we're already getting a handful of messages coming through here. Just looking to make sure that our recording is coming through fine. It looks like it is, no big problem. The only question mark we got was from Not a Question Techno. Thank you very much for providing that notification in text again. It helps when other people come in after the fact they have something they didn't see in text to know the rules. Hello, everyone else as you pile in. Looks like we're still getting a few more folks coming in from those notifications.
Let's see, I'll drop these over here, I think. Not a whole lot of space to put it without it interfering with the camera.
This week we have selected a rather tiny world to host our Moderation Office Hours, and we can give a shout out to the creator. I believe it said Hamo Cozy Train from MMC. It's a lovely little world. Very cozy, very train, very aptly named.
Indeed. Lovely world.
All right, and more generally, since we're sitting in our new spot, hanging out on Twitch right now, I'd like to go over the broad PSA. As you might have noticed, we're on Twitch. This is a new thing. We've been doing it this week. Last week, we're going forward with something of an experiment to see if this would be a better home for our office hours going forward. What we wanted to do when we're coming over here is give people access to a sort of visual element of it, which some folks seem to enjoy, while alongside being able to host office hours in a place that folks not as tied into our community already might be able to find a little bit easier. We think the discoverability on side of platforms like Twitch makes it a little bit easier for new people coming in, as opposed to sticking it inside of the Discord of our specific platform. People might not be in that Discord. If they're in the Discord, they might not be interested in pings and notifications, little tiny office hour events happening in there. So we figured we'd try out Twitch, see what we can get on that side of it. It's been going pretty good so far. Certainly don't mind the Twitch chat when it comes to collecting questions. Though I will not, since we're starting on a bit of a quiet day, as I often do. These are office hours, which is, from my perspective, a set amount of time that we're always going to be available to field questions for you. Even if we come in and people just ask us about like our favorite types of coffee for 30 minutes straight, we're still going to be here for 30 minutes. The point is to make sure that you will have a designated 30 minutes every single week where you can have a conversation with the devs. Hopefully devs that with various different office hours covering a lot of the areas devs might need to specialize on platform. And so even if it's quiet, we're always going to make sure we're around. We're happy just to casually shoot the shit for a few minutes while waiting for pertinent questions to come through. Speaking of which, when I rattled off that little PSA, we collected a few there. So just going down the list. A master asks, question, what do you, the Resonite team, look for in a mentor lead? Mainly responsibilities and their role to the program. I usually want to kick this one over to Veer, but I believe Veer has been making their way through a bit of a cough this time, so I'm going to give my best stab. And I'm going to say that Get a pile of extra questions coming through. The mentor lead, I mean, the mentor program as a whole, it's main embodiment of what folks are looking for inside the mentor. Folks that are part of our community that want to help others, people who just want to give a little bit of extra time bringing or helping folks however it may be inside of Resonite. I think the most common way we think of mentors would be helping new users come in where there's a bit of that steep learning curve, and really mentor leads are just those who exemplify that program themselves. When I think of all the mentor leads, and we've had a few over the years, it's just some of the most engaged, helpful, friendly members of the community. There's obviously going to need to be a little bit of organizational skills there, but really just folks that exemplify that primary goal of the program to help others. And I imagine you'd be able to get a little bit more nuanced answer from Veer when when his throat isn't fighting back, but it's certainly how I like to think of that situation. What would make the best mentor lead? As always, whenever I have a question I can't give the best answer to, I like to point to another dev you could go to get a better answer from. Today, the dev happens to be sitting next to me, but again, Colds, so feel free to package that question up if you'd like to get his take and bring it back next week where hopefully colds have settled and things are a little bit better. That's it. Let's chew through the others. Ramp asks, ain't using a separate channel kind of limiting the visibility get? It is, and we would like to bring this stream over to the main Resonite Twitch channel so that all piles into one place and people have an easy time knowing where you're going to find all streaming related shenanigans for the Resonite team. That's certainly where we want to end up. Right now we're still just working through some of the technical difficulties of getting this down pat and making sure we can have things work smoothly before we kick it over there, but that's certainly the ultimate goal. You are correct, having it on a side channel does limit things a little bit, and that'll go away if things go well.
Right.
Techno Katrin asks, audio seems to be captured from Veer's point of view. Maybe next time have it from a globaler camera view. That is correct. I should have also clicked myself over to shout like this, so it's a little bit easier for you to hear. These are the sort of things that means we're staying on the side channel until we have a slightly smoother operation. It might be somewhat apparent, but I will state it if it's not. We are not professional streamers. We are moderation lead people. We write policy. We try and talk to folks. We train moderators, and we try and generally keep the platform a safe and welcoming space. But Twitch itself is a bit of a learning curve for us. Feel free to put in the recommendations or point out if there's any kind of issues like that. We're going to become more familiar with the systems, even as Veer gives a better framed shot for us, and get better at this with time, hopefully. Yuffie Euphoria asks, do either of you enjoy sushi? If so, what is your favorite type of sushi? So I'm going to say yes. I don't know if Veer wants to step in on this one. It's a very short answer. Maybe give it a big nod or a shake of his head when he comes back around.
Love sushi.
Love sushi. I am not a discerning sushi eater. I deeply enjoy sushi, and for some reason, deeply enjoy sushi when I've been having perhaps a little bit to drink. Maybe one might even say a little bit too much to drink. On that account, I like sushi primarily for its main quality of quantity. If you bring a lot of sushi, I am a happy man. If you bring a very tiny amount of sushi, I mean, it's a problem, but it can be rectified by bringing more sushi.
True enough. Excuse me.
Lotus the Gamer asks, why not use a bot and have audio to Discord so you can still have the office hours on Discord as well as Twitch? That's clever. Certainly something I'd be interested in seeing what we could do. I do want to collect the questions in one location. We are, as you'll note, reading out both the name and question of every question that's asked, so that even if someone's just listening to this on the audio recording, I'm going to post to Discord after the fact, it's still very intelligible. You can follow along with the office hours. I want people to also be able to do that while it's hosted. It's a bit odd keeping track of the order questions are asked in and occasionally losing questions if we have those questions spread across 2 or 3 different locations. We even had this, oddly enough, back on Discord, where occasionally questions would be lost in, say, the text chat for the stage, not the dedicated thread, or people would just ask in the general office hours channel or post it possibly somewhere else in the Discord. I didn't even notice because it was just that hard to find. Our goal has always been to try and collect all of those questions in one central location, just to make sure we don't lose it too much. And I do want to both accomplish that while also making it so that this can be heard from as many different places as possible. Perhaps if we can get the bot set up so that it can also forward questions to Twitch. That's a bit above my pay grade when it comes to Discord bots, though. I'll look into it and see what options exist on that end, though. I do still want to broaden our signal for this, so to say. So we just had a couple of repeat questions there. The Master asks, question, do you see a future where you can have a direct live stream through Resonite, either as a tab on the dash or some other video player / stream player? That could be, in my opinion, the best way to bring your office hours to everyone easily and collect questions in a more controlled way. I mean, do I see a future where this could happen? Yes. Could I give you an ETA or a guess or an estimate of any nature about when I might come down the line? No, and if I do, I'm pretty certain there are certain other devs who will come onto the stage with bats and break my legs. You're not allowed to give ETAs in that regard. That sounds like it would be a wonderful feature, and I do think after we get a number of other features done, a number I can't possibly hazard to guess at, perhaps it could come down the line. I don't want to make promises in that regard, but based on how useful it is, I'd encourage you to head over to the GitHub, describe how you'd like that functionality to exist as a feature request, and submit a new issue. They're always collecting great ideas for where development could go in the future over there. And we're certainly not done development. As is apparent, if you put an eyeball on the devlog channel inside of our Discord, there's new updates practically every day, certainly multiple ones every week. We're going to be continuing to add to the Resonite platform for years to come. That's the sort of thing I could certainly see being added onto the list. Granted, I say all this, I want to be perfectly clear. As a skeleton with a rather limited technical knowledge, you might want to go chat to, say, Probable Prime hosting their office hours on Tuesday as a much more knowledgeable individual, part of the coding team and engineer, who might be able to speak to potential limitations in that. Who knows? The idea you described to me as a user sounds real neat, but that's about the extent of my technical knowledge. Neat. Maybe it's impossible for reasons I absolutely don't understand and would completely not be aware of. And so it might not be something they could do, but you'd have to go talk to the coders to get that sort of answer out of them. I can just give the general thumbs up and point you in the right direction.
I can't actually just say that I know that something like that has been on Frux's mind. I think it's something that he wants to do as well. Just no ETAs on that one.
Of course.
Yeah.
Generally, if you're curious about what we're working on, you can also get that as a sort of update floating from the main Discord. I realize I'm continuously referencing the Discord that theoretically we have broken out of, so people don't need to be part of to engage in these office hours. But if you came here from some other source than our Discord, hello, welcome. We're part of the dev team for Resonite. Glad to have you here. Please join our Discord. It's actually quite useful. We certainly want other people to come in. We're not already inside of our Discord, but once you're here, I would heartily recommend it. It's an excellent resource, both for questions you might have for other community members if you're trying to figure out how things work inside of Resonite, building something particularly curious with Protoflux, but also getting mountains of information about what's still coming down the line. Have to excuse me for a half second while I scour all of the other or potential channels someone could have put a question in, just to see if any have shown up there. It looks pretty quiet. I think most of us are congregated on Twitch right now. A lying cat just attacked the table. I hope no one heard that. It was at least the other table from where the microphone is situated, so hopefully it wasn't too loud. Not just a cat tail in the way. I'd like to say I could switch over to VR, which was a goal for this week. I just didn't get into the headset today, as it's been quite warm in my apartment. I'd like to say switching into VR would make it easier for the cat stuff. You know, the computer's strapped to your face. The cat can't get between it and your face, at least not without a hell of a bit of work there. But no, whenever I go into VR, whenever I sit inside of VR, I should say, the cat essentially immediately finds me and will drape himself over some part of the body. BT Arxelis says, "Hey, a veer. He veers into topics occasionally." This is true.
Unfortunately, not too much today.
Yes. The one advantage, well, there are many advantages. One of the nice advantages of working in virtual reality is that we can have a sort of pseudo in-office day, hanging out with one another in a physical sort of fashion without any worry about getting the plague. At least until, plagues have developed enough that they can be transmitted over VR. At which point I'm just going to unplug completely and wander into the northern Canadian wastes to live as a hermit. But until then, this is very useful. It's nice. It's nice. Question from a master. What is your opinion on about the current state of the Resonite wiki? I already got Prime's opinion about it, and I'd like to hear both of your opinions too. I'm actually fascinated about Prime's opinion. Can anyone give me like a 2-sec or like a couple bullet points on what Prime's take on that is? For me, like he's the master of the wiki. He's the one who's been organizing a lot of the effort behind it and putting a lot of effort into it. So I just kind of want to know where he's at. From my perspective as sort of outside that sphere, I just see people contributing to it. I just see things slowly getting more organized over time. I saw the original enormous amount of effort to try and carry a bunch of stuff from older platforms into the new wiki where relevant. And I think I'm immensely appreciative of the amount of work the community and people have put into making the wiki as strong as it is today. And I'm excited to see how much better and more informative it's going to be for the future for other people. But I understand that's from a very non-critical outsider's perspective. I don't know how much I'll align with Prime in that regard. I'm deeply curious about where he's situated these days. Yuffie missed. They're just questions and then immediately walking away from the screen. Well, Yuffie, it's in the recording. It's going to be there at the end of the day. I guess I can briefly go over it again. I don't have strong opinions on types of sushi, though I do like sushi. Generally, I just like large quantities of sushi, occasionally mixed. Occasionally more so when maybe slightly inebriated at the time. I've become a bit of a sushi fiend.
My favorite kind of fish is raw. Just raw.
That'll do. Here goes fishing. He brings the fishing pole and a dinner plate.
Exactly. Also,
Gets
just to add on to what you were saying about the wiki, like my take on it, I like the wiki. I think it looks really good. Now, as someone who is learning still things like Protoflux, guess what? I don't know all that much about Protoflux, right? I'm still learning it, but I would love to see more detailed examples of like the various nodes being used. Like I'm a visual learner, so personally I'd love to see that in the future. I know some of them actually do have like pictures of like how the nodes are set up and what people are doing with them. Those are so helpful for people like me, and I can't wait to see more of it. You guys are doing great with your submissions.
Looks like a master followed up with a comment saying, basically, Brian feels there's still a bit more work to be done and some talks about what he wants to do with it, but nothing solid yet on future plans. We do tend to give that vague response when it comes to future plans a lot. Things are coming down the line, but we want to make sure we don't make promises we can't keep, so we keep things vague. Glad to hear he's saying just only a bit more work to be done. That's a pretty positive outlook. I as well think quite highly of it. All the contributions so far. Techno says, to learn Protoflux, grab a mentor and step-by-step go through the nodes. I mean, that's sort of why Mentor is about. Mentor is a good indicator of an individual that is willing to help you out. They're not under, like, orders. Mentors are just volunteers, regular folks in the community that have just essentially opted to flag in, saying they're a helpful member of the community, someone who's willing to give you a hand a lot of the time. They sometimes might be busy. Please don't get grumpy at mentors if you say, hey, can you help me with X, Y, or Z? And they're like, no, my chicken's on fire. I have to go save it or something. Let them do their thing. But it is a good indicator of someone you could ask. They tend to be some very knowledgeable and helpful folks within the community. A master follows up with a comment saying, "Well, you're in luck, Kavir. I and many others am on it right now, adding more pages specifically about Protoflux. I would like to add more examples and such." That is excellent. I'd like to thank you personally for adding anything to the wiki. It is great to see the community come together and flesh that out. The sheer quantity of documentation that might otherwise have to be built out for Protoflux seems like a monumental task, but when everyone comes together and contributes, talking about their favorite node, the way they learned it, the way they can use it, can provide a plethora of examples that everyone else can learn off of. It's really one of the best ways, I think, to build out a knowledge base on that.
That's awesome to hear that you're adding more stuff to the Protoflux section. Thank you. That's wonderful.
I will admit, occasionally you see, back in the day, still sometimes, but back in the day, a lot of the times, we would see nodes added in from Frooks, and there would be in the devlog a lovely explanation about this or that mathematical thing you can do with this new node. And all it really gave me was a bunch of words I also don't know that I would now need to Google to understand those bits of the explanation that I don't understand. So having people go into a Wikipedia and flesh that out with examples and pictures or a little bit more plain language is always an amazing contribution. We've run out of city.
We have? Oh yeah, we're in the country now. Looks like there's
Mildly
a meteor
concerning.
shower.
Yeah. Rocks falling from the sky. I hope it's a very sturdy train.
Bulletproof, hopefully. That's what bullet train means, right?
I feel bulletproof X is not meteor proof X.
True. Uh-oh.
I am concerned. Well, it is still very cozy with only a small threat to life.
Indeed.
That said, we are floating up towards the end of our office hours. So I'm going to remind folks, we do have a half hour. People occasionally throw rocks at us for calling this office hour while only having a half hour show, but that is the time frame that we've generally found appropriate for the amount of questions we get on average. So we will be wrapping it up in, I think, 5.5 minutes, 6 minutes at this point. If you have questions, get them typing away. If you came in late, I'll give the spiel again. This is Moderation Office Hours. You're more than welcome to ask us questions about the things we know most about, those being moderation, the guidelines, the mentor program. But if you'd like to ask any old thing about Resonite, you're welcome to. We have no limitations on the questions you can ask here. Though if you ask us highly technical stuff, we're likely to just shrug at you and then point you in the direction of a better resource. I mean, we will give you our best answer every single time. But that best answer might be a very honest, this is not the place to get that answer. Please go here or there. Thankfully, we do have a number of office hours now that I guess we should take a moment to plug. They've been running for a few weeks now, but you can find that the content team's also regularly hosting office hours these days. That's a great resource if you want to see how things are built out inside of Resonite. Certainly all the official assets are handcrafted by our own content team. If you wander into the cloud home world, if you've run into anything that has our branding on it, it's built by those guys directly. You can ask questions about how they built it if you're curious about building things yourselves. They're an excellent knowledge base. Produce some of the cleanest, most polished work we see on the platform. And of course, they're just great folks for a chat too. I don't actually know if their policy allows them, or they're also fielding any old question thrown their way, but I imagine you get their opinion on sushi too, and they will not complain. Yuffie asks, are either of you planning on going to BLFC this year? I believe that is the case, but they still haven't hosted, to my knowledge, any official descriptions about panels or get-together meetings at this point, but information relating to that will arrive when appropriate down the line if it's happening. No announcements that I can give out today. Me as an individual, one unit of Canadian Git, does intend to go to BLFC. Yourself here?
No, it's not in the books this year.
That's understandable. But, yeah, you'll have to wait for more official Resonite stuff on that to come down the line, should it be happening.
Wow, the sky looks crazy on the stream right now, actually.
We're concerned. Let me bring up the stream.
Looks cool. It looks like dancing northern lights or
Oh.
something.
Sure, it looks like that in the world too.
You don't see the blur effect going on in the sky?
I do.
Stream? Oh.
In both.
Wait, you see a blur effect going on there? That's strange.
Do you not?
Oh, I don't. That's very weird. Sorry, my ADHD
I'm so
brain
confused.
got both of us distracted there.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me, sorry. I'm trying to mute.
VT or Zealous, how many units of Canadian Git are there in total? No, I mean that's a carefully confidential secret. We can't get into that, but at least one of them will be available at BLFC. Techno comes to the rescue with the most sensible understanding. We have different blur settings, and the camera is probably sitting on default, so I have the same default blur settings. I don't believe I've tweaked that too
Just
much.
fixed it.
You destroyed the blur.
That's so strange. I clicked it on like the camera settings.
A little bit less impressive. That's not true. They're very nice visuals regardless. Grandpa notes that blur on desktop is different than in VR as well, which is the odd thing. VR's in, I guess the camera might be aping desktop blur settings.
I guess so, yeah.
That'd be odd. Well, now the stream looks like a slightly different world from what I can see, and that's mildly disorienting. But they are cool effects.
By the way, quick question to the audience. Can people hear the music okay? It's a Twitch-friendly set of music I found.
No big takedown requests, though it's worth noting, we're not just working with the VOD this time, we have a separate audio recording of the show. So if you're just looking to get the questions we're giving back in that sort of podcast format, it's going to be available, posted to the Discord the second I export it, following the close of these office hours. Right, and we are coming to a close for our 30-minute period, so I'm going to say, as I often do, if you have a question you're typing right now, continue to type that question. That is excellent. If you are still holding on to a question, I'd recommend you hold on to it till next week, when we will be back, same time, same location, for the same amount of time, to field any other questions you have. This is a shame. The one thing I do think Discord has, from like the person on the stage perspective, is being able to see if we have people typing, which is a little limited in that regard. I'm going to need you all to manually first type "your name is typing" before you type your question. Just put that into chat to start. Then, once you're done, type the other question. No, maybe I shouldn't give useful Twitch suggestions. They might not be useful. I'll be here all day. All right, I think we actually have reached the end of a relatively quiet day. It has been... Did we all just go black? Nope, we're back. Okay. We have had a relatively quiet, cozy office hours in our cozy train. I can't complain. I've been happy for you sharing your time with us this week, and I hope we see many of you here next week when we host our next office hours. Remember, if you have questions that come up after office hours ends, we always have the ticket system for moderation, the same place you'd report other users, that allows you to submit general inquiries. If you'd like to bring questions there, we can give you a response in text. But otherwise, I think that's going to be the close of the day. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend and a great week that follows. Thank you for coming out and hanging out. We will see you next time.
Guys. Catch y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.